Hi guys, Al here, Grumpy Grognard Gaming. It is time to take a look at Konflikt 47. This is part of the Where Next to Conquer series, where I give alternatives to Warhammer. Covered lots of games so far, and I did touch upon Konflikt 47 when I did my bolt action video, but now it's time to have a good look at it. For a sense of how long these games take to develop, Konflikt 47 was in the nascent stages of development when I worked for Warlord a couple of years ago. Back then, I asked the late great Paul Sawyer, who worked as head of marketing, because I have a background in digital marketing from Warcradle, how Warlord was going to expand its reach, how they were going to get out of the niche that they were in, which was kind of a historical a niche, I would say. You had Bolt Action, obviously their World War II game, but you also had the SQPR Roman Legion game. They had Napoleonic games, Pike and Shot, even delving into like the ancient Americas, but they were all very historical based, apart from their licensed IPs like Judge Dredd, Slain, basically the Rebellion IPs there. Now, I was told at that time that route would be Konflikt 47. And that makes a lot of sense. It's a broadly sci-fi-esque game. It's basically a World War II where World War II did not end. There was no nuclear bomb. And a giant rift opens. And this rift allows the Allies and the Axis forces to develop new technologies that meant the war carried on. Konflikt 47 is not a new thing. Warlord bought the IP back in 2022, I think. 2021 or 2022. And when I was working there, I was actually working on a short story for Konflikt 47 because Warcradle have published several of my short stories. My work is actually in the Mythos rulebook. I was working on a short story. It was basically a squad of Tommies, or I don't know, Tommies for World War II? I'm not sure. Squad of British infantrymen that were sent out to rescue a pilot that had crashed, and they are hunted down by a group of Nazi Nachtjägers, which are basically like vampires. They've got wings. And it was kind of a horror-based sci-fi type thing. I got about halfway through it, but I ended up leaving Warlord due to pretty much one person that I will not go into here. Anyway, let's have a look at Konflikt 47, shall we? So you've got this website. Tells you all about it, basically. The background, shows you some of the models. They look quite nice. I think they're a step up from what Warlord normally does, because I do think the models for that company are the weak point. They have spent a lot of money in making a lot of these big mechs in plastic. These always used to be resin, and it made them prohibitively expensive. So although they used to sell Konflikt 47 because, the IP had been purchased, the resin cost of some of the stuff was quite prohibitive. This little tank in the background here, this legged Nazi tank, that was like 60 quid. I know because I made them in resin. Like these walkers and stuff, they were also a similar price. They were not cheap. Yeah, we've got the normal, what is Wargaming here. We can scroll past all that, we know that. Here's the starter set. Now, I will edit these out, but I just need you to hear this, because whoever's responsible for this needs a smack. Get ready? Why? Why? Horrible. Anyway, they then sort of show you the starter set and everything. We won't go for those pictures. They've got some on the website. And then you can sign up for the newsletter. I've done that, and I get, every now and again I get things. So let's have a look at the actual game itself. It is heavily based upon the Bolt Action rule set, but obviously it's got new weapons in it. You can use some Bolt Action models, but Andy Chambers was brought on board to work on the rules, and there's a very sort of hero command aura based type thing here where you can use actions from your commanders to inspire your troops and stuff like that. It was always a pretty good rule set, and it looks like it's been tightened up with somebody like Andy Chambers behind it. I expect it to be a very solid rule set indeed. However, I do think that this is overpriced. This is £95. That is the cost of a GW Combat Patrol, and more expensive than an Age of Sigmar Spearhead. And if we look at the models, although they are an improvement on the old Konflikt 47 models, which were rough and did need updating, I'm not sure they're worth what Warlord are asking for here. with all of this being approximately half the value of bolt action, I think it's a little bit over the top. So we're going to have a look. So here we go. Thankfully, no annoying beeps here. So, you know, you look at this guy, it's not a bad model. He's resin. There's some telltale 3D print lines there from the master. Those should have been got rid of. For the record, what you do is you just cover it with a bit of filler, sand it down. Not too hard. Makes your model look a lot nicer. Is what I would be saying if I worked in the studio, which was always the plan at Warlord, but hey, best laid plans of mice and men. So yeah, he's quite nice. I mean, that's a resin model. He's pretty good. This guy also, I believe, is a resin model. He's all right. You can see what I mean regarding the models. They're not always the best, but it's all right. It's got some charm to it. But we're not talking GW quality here, and I have to say that. No matter what I think, when it comes to plastic models or models in general, GW generally have the upper hand. They really do. There's a reason why they are considered the best. But these are okay. I mean, these games always appeal more on a gaming level anyway. You don't get, to my knowledge, at Salute, a bolt action category for painting. Do you know what I mean? They don't get entered. Tanks might and things because historical, modelling. But these kind of things, they're okay. They're not brilliant. They are a step up from what happened before. Again, these are plastic. These always used to be metal models. So again, there is a development cost here to be considered. But when we look at the prices of the other stuff, I do think this is all too expensive. But yeah, they're all right. So you get 6 of those lads, which, obviously come on these sprues. So there's your... Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's the 6th? How many did you get in the box? Sorry about this. So professional. But then you shouldn't expect anything else. So there's 6 models in the set, which looks like 2 copies of 3. I can only... Oh, hang on, that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Right, each sprue builds 3, and you get different poses for the legs. So you'll get 2 of those sprues. Bit of a weird way to do it. That's wasted legs. I mean, it's nice that you can have different options and everything, but it seems a little bit odd. But yeah, you got some little bits to put on them and stuff. And they're not bad models. And plastics are expensive to develop. These are not made in-house by Warlord. Warlord, or at least when I worked there, and I can't see it changing since, do not have plastic production capabilities. What Warcradle do, for example. So these are likely made by the same people who make the Frostgrave stuff and that kind of thing. I can't remember what they're called. Warforge, I think it might be. So obviously you get some transfers via Naxes. No swastikas. It's interesting, isn't it? And there's your spinner. So like a spider tank. And again, this used to be resin, very expensive. Now plastic. Big development cost, but cheaper to produce overall. And then I'm not sure what this is because there's no tank in there. I guess it's just different paint ideas, Okay, there's your plastic spinner screw. As you see, fairly crude plastic, certainly nothing on the lines of GW, but not bad. The plastics are not bad, I would say. So you get 12 of these. I think these are called Firefly dudes. I can't remember now. It's in here somewhere. Let's look. 6 Staltroppen. So heavy troopers. Fireflies. 12 plastic Firefly airborne infantry. 1 linebacker jump walker. That's your linebacker. Again, used to be resin. Now plastic. I think plastic. Yes. Much better. So basically only the commanders are resin in this. You've got 2 resin models. It's nice to see the sprues. Come on. There we go. Yep, not bad. More or less engineered the way I would expect it to be. Again, just not GW levels here, but with the price point not to match. And then you get a few ruins. Plastic ruins. Enough for a game? Not sure about that. But, there you go. You also get is it full hardback rulebook? Softback, A5. Okay, so it's not your full rulebook, but it is good in some ways because it's easy to carry around. GW, learn the fucking lesson. And then you've got allies, transfers, And there's your full rule set. I think £95 is too much. I think this should have been £80, and that would make it a more attractive proposition. Here you are going up against a combat patrol, and although this does have a few more models, not loads, but a few more models, it is, in my opinion, too expensive and not enough of a draw. You need more stuff in there. I would have, like one of our commentators on my last video said, have maybe put a generic squad of bolt action lads in there. Even if it was just a sprue, I'm pretty sure those sprues, or a couple of sprues, I'm pretty sure those sprues have about 6 models on them each. So yeah, I potentially would have done that. Did we get any Firefly sprues? I can't think we wouldn't. Come on. Come on. No, it doesn't look like we did. Linebacker. No Firefly sprues. That's a shame. We'd like to have seen those. So yeah, I think £95 too much. £80 would have been the price point I would have gone for, but Warlord will have development costs with these plastics. And I'm sure having a quality person like Andy Chambers working on your rule set probably ain't cheap either. But yes, for me, little bit too pricey. Let's have a look at the other Konflikt 47 stuff that is an offer. So, Balls Deep, £335. Down from £375, so obviously you get a bit of a save. You get to get a free model. It's a lot of stuff, but it's a lot of price. And again, you've got one large tank. These are probably resin? They've got to be resin. Oh, it doesn't say. This has got the full rulebook in it, at least. You can see there. Oh, that's the free mod that comes with it. Dice bag. I mean, that's probably going to have everything you need in it for a while, I would say. You get a tank here. Man, kind of looks like a Sherman with something added on top. This is a different... It could be a resin add-on here for the turret. That's how I would have done it. 355 quid. It's a lot. It's a lot. As much as... I have a go about GW, you know, when you look at something like the Age of Darkness set, that was 180 and that had a comparable amount of models in total, I would say. So, yeah, I mean, that's your Balls Deep entry. Again, on the pricey side, I think. These things, you know, they do cost money to develop. USA all in, so basically the USA bit of that. That's a bit weird. USA all in becomes with a load of Nazis as well. So it's basically the starter set plus, it's like that. Plus some extra stuff, full rule book, say 40 odd quid. Yeah, it is pricey. I think it's overpriced, I've got to be honest. Here's your US good to go bundle. Let's have a quick look at that one. Nice dice bag, 2 linebackers. So you've got 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. Okay, so you get 30 Fireflies, 2 linebackers and a tank. 207 quid, that's a lot. That, in my opinion, is a lot of money. If you say that your rule book, let's just say that's 40 quid. So that gets you down to, let's say, 170. If you say these are 100 quid, would you pay 70 quid for the rest of those models? I don't know. I think this is. I think they've gone too big on this. They've got development costs, but I think they've gone too big. Right, so here's your starter army. So we've got starter army for each. No British yet. With your Warlord. So here's your states. So you get 12 Fireflies, 2 linebackers, and a tank. Is it a Sherman? Am I still good with my tanks? Oh, Stuart. Of course, it's a Stuart. With a resin upgrade, which, as I say, is the way I would have done it. So you've got 12 infantry, 2 linebackers, and a tank, 110 quid. Again, that's more than a combat patrol. I'm not seeing the value there. I'm really not. I think that is possibly a bit too much. That, in my opinion, again, should be under 95 quid. You should be trying to beat GW. And I know GW doesn't have tanks and that in their combat patrol, but you do get more than 12 models, and these are not to GW standard. They're both smaller models by far. These are 28mm, not 32, or 35 like GW is, I believe, these days. And they're just not up to that standard, so you can't charge that money. But, you know, they look all right. The models themselves look all right. They look quite nice. I just think that's too much, 110. Again, you'll probably get 10% off this at local discounters. I know that a lot of third-party retailers had some problems with Warlord because of the discount, because Warlord would have frequently end up running sales and things that undercut them. But, you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's up to Warlord. And here you go. Here's your one of these. Nacht Alban. So Night something or other. Not Night Hunters, because that's Nachtjäger. Resin. Only 3. That's cheap. That's cheap. You could have easily doubled up on the sprues there. The raw plastic doesn't cost much. The development costs are the expensive bit for plastics. The raw plastic is not expensive. That could have been better. But you do get a chunky tank in there. You can see it's chunky from the size of a little dude here. But again, 110. That's a lot. And I'd barely call that an army. 2 units, well, I mean, I can't even barely call that a unit. 2 units of infantry and 2 tanks, 110 quid, too much. And it's a shame. I think it might impact the sales. I'm not at Warlord anymore. I'm not privy to that information. But obviously, you know, they're charging what they think they can get away with. They're no different to GW in that respect. But I look at these. Let's see if we can get a better picture of these Nachtalben. Here we go. While they're a step up from what came before, they are still decidedly Warlord looking. They're not bad though. I've got to say, they're not bad models. Definitely better than what they had before. But how much would you pay for those resin models? I don't know. On this one. Is that it? Looks like it. But your Stahltruppen. Okay, so here we go. So 9 Stahltruppen, £37. So that starter army that had 3 of them in, like 10 quid's worth. Well, say, let's be generous. Say 15 quid's worth. Easily could have bumped it up. If 9 is meant to be a squad, because, you know, 9. It's just fluff. It's just flavour text. Yeah. So 37 quid, you're basically putting it up against, Christ, what are intercessors these days? Intercessors are like more than 40 quid these days. Don't know. 37, it's a GW infantry box, isn't it? 9 models. Compare that to what you can get from GW. I don't want to go on the website. I just don't want to go on it. I hate that website. But yeah, I think these are the wrong side of you know. I think these should be like closer to £30 than 40. I think this might be too much, and yeah, it's a shame to see, but I think this might backfire and hurt its popularity. Yeah, I don't know how much this has all cost GW. How much this has all cost Warlord to develop and everything. I don't know, but as somebody who's worked in the industry previously and a consumer, I personally think that is a little bit too expensive. At the very least, even if you've got the expensive prices for the other stuff, this starter set should be a bit cheaper, as should the infantries. You know, even if you have to reduce the amount of profit you make here, you make it elsewhere, but you have to make the buying look a bit more attractive. 2.7 on this. There's no reason at all that should be more than 200 quid. 200 is very off-putting. Even GW learnt this lesson. You know, Saturnine, as much as most people are put off by the bollocks that's going on with 3rd edition, was priced at under £200. Saturnine is objectively a better deal than this army. So, you know, I do think Warlord, and I'll just say it one last time, have gone too expensive, because I'm sure you don't want to hear me repeating myself over and over again. Anyway, that's Konflikt 47. A viable alternative to Warhammer. Whatever way you look at it, great rule set, the bolt action rule set is. I just think that, you know, this might put some guys off, but let me know what you think down below. Are you planning to pick up Konflikt 47? Were you planning to pick up Konflikt 47? There's been a lot of hype about it, and the prices have put you off. Let me know, and of course I will be back with another video soon. Bye.